Barkley said he loves everything about LeBron, but the King wouldn't have wanted anything to do with tougher teams in the past, like the bad boy Pistons. So, Shannon, does he really believe LeBron is number 7, or do you think this is more about bad blood?
I think it's a combination of both, Skip. I believe two things can be true because Charles Barkley has repeatedly said there's nothing LeBron James can do to ever crack his top 5. So with that line of thinking, what else am I supposed to choose? So if LeBron James wins 2 more titles, win another MVP, he still can't crack the top 5? Skip, look, and I know what Charles is talking about, Skip. I believe the decade and the era in which I played was the best. It was the toughest. And although I'm not willing to say that receivers and tight ends couldn't play in that era, I'm saying that some of the things that we see them do would be hazardous to their health. You see, the greatest skill for survival is adaptability. So am I to assume that Charles Barkley, being an undersized power forward, couldn't play in today's NBA because he can't shoot threes? That would be an awful way of thinking. He would just adapt his game. Like other great players, they're willing and able to adapt. Skip, what difference does it make? Why all the bad boy Pistons? The bad boy Pistons did not win the title every single year. What is that? Now, ever since the last dance, now we're making the bad boy Pistons, Skip, to be the 60 Celtics. You notice that, Skip? Now everything is measured through the bad boy Pistons. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Skip, they were a great team, yes, but everybody really played that style of basketball. Skip, the Knicks played that style of basketball. The Miami Heat played that style of basketball. Indiana with the Davis boys and Rick Smith played that style of basketball. Skip, that was the East played football and the West played football like ballet on grass. They were moving the ball. It was up and down. And in the East, where in the West, Skip, you have a game 132 to 138. In the East, it was 85-82. That's what you were getting, Skip. Everybody played that brand of football. The Celtics, even with the great Larry Bird, they were a big physical basketball team, and they played that style. So that wasn't unique to the bad boy Pistons. Now, they took it over the edge, but what Commissioner Stern figured out, people don't really like that brand of basketball. People really like to see points. They want to see up and down. Skip, look at what the ratings did when they took the rules out, where you get the defenseless player and the clutching and the grabbing in the NFL, and you see more points. Ta-da! Ratings took off when they opened the game up and you had no more hand checking, and all of a sudden the games are starting to creep back like they were in the 80s, Skip, when the West was up and down. Ta-da! Skip, nobody liked that brand of basketball. That wasn't basketball, that was football. If you want to watch football, watch it in the fall. But if you want to see basketball, you want to see these athletes be able to move and flow freely, not tackling and clotheslining guys out the sky. But I do not believe, Skip, LeBron James is the 7th-best player. Now, I'm not here, look, people criticize me, say LeBron is the GOAT. That's where I stand on that. But I've said that, and I told you, I came on your show, Skip, in 2014. I said, if LeBron wins this title, he GOAT. That was 2014. If he 2016, when they came back for 3-1. I told you I was going to the parade. Asked you, did you want to go? You say you ain't want to go with your boy. But anyway, Skip, this notion that a great player couldn't play in certain eras, Skip, yes, they could. They would adapt. Just like Michael Jordan adapted to how he was going to deal with the bad boy Pistons. He says, this little slender frame ain't going to cut it. I need to put on about 10, 15 pounds, and I need to meet fire with fire. And that's what they were able to do. So there's no question in my mind, at 6'9", 260 today, in today's game, man, LeBron, so imagine, Skip, they weren't calling charges like they do now. Man, LeBron James just bulldozed his way. Of course he could have played. And I disagree with LeBron being 7th, but that's Charles' list. That's not mine.
And from Charles, that LeBron would have wanted no part of those bad boy Pistons back in the late 80s going into the early 90s. Again, we're talking about putting LeBron back in time in that situation under those football rules against that team that was loaded with tough guys. Mahorn was there, not for the whole run, but for the first of the run.
The first one.
Lambeer was just crazy tough. And James Edwards, he scared me every time he came on the floor. We talked about Dennis Rodman, back-to-back Defensive Players of the Year, 90, 91.
Sally.
And then led the whole NBA in defensive win shares in 92. John Sally, who I know very well, 7 feet and nasty. And then Joe Dumars was making first-team all-defense all through that run. Isaiah would lock you up and get up under you and bulldog you. And Vinnie Johnson would come off the bench and get up in you. And that was their mentality. We're all together, all for one, one for all, and we're going to make you beat us at football rules. And as Charles said, they wanted to hurt you. I mean, literally hurt you, physically knock you out of the game, the way in the old days when you first started playing in the NFL, teams tried to knock quarterbacks out of the game. That was the Pistons' MO, and it was not pretty. Yeah, it was ugly. It was not fun to watch. I was there for all those finals. I sat right there at courtside and watched it. I could reach out and touch the ugliness of it. It was sweaty, ugly, dirty basketball, but they let them get away with it, so they pushed the rules as far as they could push them before the rules got changed. I do believe that with Rodman all over him, who could match him physically in height, strength, and in just sheer mental toughness that bordered on dirty basketball nastiness, that LeBron would have had a hard time getting through those guys, and Michael had a hard time getting through them. And I told you earlier, he won 1 game the first go-round, then 2, then 3, and then finally swept them and went on to beat Magic's Lakers in his first NBA Finals, and he was off to the races. Okay, back to Charles. Right. I've had my issues with Charles over the years. They're well documented. But the one area I've always agreed with Charles on and applauded Charles for is LeBron James. Because to Charles' credit, he has always been, you could argue harshly, but he's been objective and, dare I say, insightful about LeBron. Has it gotten a little personal? Yes. Has it gotten a little snide, a little petty at times between the two of them? Yes, it has. But I still say Charles, and what I love about him, Shannon, is he's never kissed up to LeBron, because obviously TNT relies heavily on its NBA package, and LeBron is the ultimate NBA meal ticket and gate attraction for TNT. But Charles doesn't seem to care about that, and I applaud him for that. So he says that he had him 8th, and now he's moved him up to all-time 7th. And Shannon, I'm right where I was. We did this in 2017. The last time we visited this subject was 3 years ago. I haven't changed my list. I've got LeBron 9th all time, and I'll tell you in a moment just why I've got him 9th. But Charles has him now 7th, and in Charles, his list is bizarre to me because of 4 players who are not above LeBron on Charles's list, because he's going to honor his forefathers. He is going to pay homage to the greats of yesteryear. So on Charles's list, he's got Oscar Robertson, he's got Bill Russell, he's got Wilt Chamberlain in his top 5. And again, LeBron is 7th. Well, on that means that as I look at Charles' list, he does not have Shaq above LeBron. Well, Shaq's his obviously his teammate on TNT. If I'm Shaq, I'm offended by that. He doesn't have Magic above LeBron, and I'm sorry, Magic was better than LeBron. That's just me, but that's how I feel. He does not have Larry Bird above LeBron. Larry Bird was your favorite player growing up. I think he was a little better all around than LeBron is. And I still believe that Tim Duncan was more valuable than LeBron James as a leader and a winner and a franchise carrier in big games, in NBA Finals championship games. So my list is MJ is obviously first, and that's where Charles and I agree. Then I go Magic, Shaq, Kareem, Tim Duncan. I'll give you Bill Russell next, Kobe, and Bird. Those are my 8 above LeBron at 9. And why Larry Bird above LeBron? they basically played the same position. Larry Bird was not a good passer. He was a great passer. Maybe LeBron's a little better passer than Larry, but maybe just a little. And yet Larry was a much better rebounder, and he was